This time of year is absolutely beautiful. All the trees are full with tender green colored leaves. There's flowers popping up all over the place. But this past week, it got hot here. Here where we live in North Carolina, close to Charlotte, it got hot. And there was a day that it actually reached 92 degrees. But we are still growing greens, and we plan to continue to grow greens throughout the summer, throughout the hot summer months. So make sure you stay tuned for what I'm going to be doing to handle the heat as I continue to grow greens. And right now, my collards are looking really good. They're growing pretty well. I'm also growing arugula and a number of different lettuces. This week I had Ben harvest some Swiss chard. This week I also harvested some lettuce and a number of things for our salad mixes. But one of the mornings that I was harvesting the lettuce, I saw just outside of the corner of my eye this tail go in under my landscape fabric. I want to show you my little friend. Josiah, look at my friend over here.
Oh, wow.
And this garter snake is actually one of the bigger ones that I have seen here on our farm. But no need to worry about them. They're not venomous, so I left it alone and went back to working around the farm. And it's also exciting to see that our cucumbers are growing and our squash are growing, and I look forward to seeing them to have fruit on them here pretty soon and being able to harvest from them coming up in the next few weeks, so that's exciting. But as we have been dealing with the heat this week, some of our lettuce in our caterpillar tunnels, since the caterpillar tunnels are warmer, hotter than outside, and with the hot weather and hot temperatures outside, it made the caterpillar tunnel even hotter. Some of our lettuce that was in the caterpillar tunnel actually bolted. And that's no good at all, because once your lettuce bolts, then the lettuce is bitter and it's not really good to eat. So this week we worked on pulling out that lettuce. I actually had Ben and Josiah work on pulling out that crop of lettuce. And as Josiah was pulling out that old lettuce with Ben, he was using some of it as nunchucks. He must have been tapped into his inner Michelangelo.
Yes,
And after they pulled it all out, they took it up to the chickens and ducks. And they absolutely love when we pull out a crop of greens. They just love it. They go to town tearing it up. And as Josiah and Ben were working on pulling out that crop of lettuce, Micah was with me on the excavator, and Micah just loves being on the excavator. And we were digging out the hillside, since our property is on a slope, it's on a pretty much a giant hill, working on expanding the walkway that we have, as well as prepping a new garden area, some new beds where we're going to be growing things along the fence. And after I got done doing what I could do with the excavator, I next had to do some of the finer things by hand. And Micah was once again right there with me, helping me shovel some of the dirt that we needed to move. And as we were shoveling, Selah was right there with us, reading us some stories.
There's a boy with a little toy drum.
Whoa! There you go. And working in this area and prepping these beds really took all of the morning and a little bit of the afternoon. So I had to get a late lunch, but I really wanted to get it done. Got it done, but I had to add some compost and some amendments to the soil, and then I blended it all up. Then after that, Lacey came with my niece Lita, and they put squash in there, some okra in there, and some cucumbers that were going to grow up the side of the fence. So I was excited to be able to prep that and have it ready so we can begin growing things in there. It's always exciting to grow. Once my work was done in the upper section of the garden, I next moved down to help Ben out with the landscape fabric in the beds that he and Josiah had pulled the lettuce out of. And with the landscape fabric, I have found that it is best not to roll it up, but to fold it up when you're going to move it. Also, after that, I left Ben alone because Ben has been doing an excellent job learning how to take tasks and complete them himself. So he finished prepping this bed with the broad fork and then the mini cultivator and amendments all by himself. So he is doing a fantastic job. And after that, Ben and Josiah pulled out an old crop of arugula that was also in the caterpillar tunnel that they were working in. And after Ben was done prepping this bed, later on I came with some new landscape fabric, put it down, stapled it down, brought out my flame weeder and torched holes in the landscape fabric 12 inches apart for our tomato plants. Yep, try to make sure that we turn the beds over quickly so that way you're producing as much as you can and working your garden and making it more efficient and more productive at the same time. And the day was beginning to wind down. It had been a long day, but I really wanted to begin putting some tomato plants in this bed that we had started. So as the sun was setting, we were busy at work putting tomato plants in the holes, and we worked all until we had no more light to work with. We were even working with flashlights at one point and doing the best we could. And we did some more bed prep with some more bed prep, which involved some more broad forking with some more broad forking. And we just had a couple more nights this week where we worked well into the evening. And one of the nights I was equipped with my headlamp and was shoveling some compost while Lacey was doing some transplanting at night. So we were doing some nighttime farming. And one of those evenings, I just had to bring out the flame weeder. I don't know about you, but the flames from the Kelvin cultivator at night just look so neat. The colors are amazing. This really is one of my favorite tools to use on the farm. And even though it had been another long day, I had to get an early start this next morning transplanting lettuce, because you want to get an early start while it's cooler in the day to transplant your lettuce so it can have a chance to get settled and you can get it set up as you need it. And as I was putting the landscape fabric down in this area that I was going to be transplanting the lettuce in, I had a little bit of tough time because here where we live, the clay is just hard. We have some hard soil. So along the edges where I haven't really added a lot of compost and amendments to, the soil was hard. And because of some people, little people that live here, I'm not going to say any names, I couldn't find my hammer. So I was using a rock as a hammer to try to get the pins in the ground to hold our landscape fabric down. Then once I got the landscape fabric down, it was time to go ahead and transplant the lettuce. I'm sure some of you are wondering why we use the landscape fabric. Well, the landscape fabric is crucial for suppressing the unwanted plants and weeds from growing up with our lettuces. A little bit later, Lacey came to help with the transplanting, and it really makes the job faster having more people. And since we're still building up the soil here, there's a lot of clay there, so it makes transplanting just a little bit longer, but gradually we'll improve the soil. Lacey came out there and helped me, even though she hasn't been feeling well this past week with dealing with allergies. She hung in there and was able to help me get the job finished. Oh, and Selah was there helping out too. She did a great job. Way to go, Selah. And as we were wrapping up transplanting the lettuce, I began setting up the hoops. And these hoops are what lead me into what the secret is for starting lettuce in the heat. And the hoops are used for the shade cloth, which will go over to cover the lettuce. And this shade cloth similar to the row cover and plastic that you use in having low tunnels to protect them from the cold, the shade cloth protects your plants from the heat. It adds extra shade in there, just like if you were in the woods, and it's slightly cooler in the woods than it would be in the open because you have that shade. That shade cloth acts in the same way. It provides shade for your plants. And this is really important for your starts, your young plants, the lettuce that we were transplanting. It really helps them to have a good start without being pounded by the heat. And as it gets warmer, as it gets hotter and hotter, it's best to start your greens indoors, because as the temperature rises, it's going to be, the germination rate for your greens is going to decrease greatly. So if you start your greens indoors, transplant them outdoors, and cover them with the shade cloth, you're going to have a greater chance of having a really good crop of greens, of lettuces in the hotter months. That is the secret to starting greens in the heat. And the shade cloth that I use is from Bootstrap Farmer. I will leave the link for purchasing this shade cloth in the show notes below. And it is a 50% shade cloth, and it works great for helping your plants to get started in the heat. So we're going to keep that on for a week and then pull it off, and they should be fine. And at the same time, they're going to be getting water from our irrigation, so they should transplant well and they should do really well. So make sure you stay tuned for that though, to see how these lettuces turn out. After we were done with the lettuce, I got back to work doing some other tasks on the farm. There we go. We'll pick these dirt balls up. Are you a dirt ball?
Nah, dirt ball.
I'm a dirt ball. Is Selah a dirt ball? She is. Are you a dirt ball, Selah?
Nope.
You're a ninja.
Yep.
Garden ninja. This week I also busted out the wheel hoe, which is an older tool that I like to use from time to time. And if you're interested to see and want to know more on how to use a wheel hoe, just let me know in the comment section below, and maybe I can cover that in an upcoming video. Oh, and I almost forgot. May 5th and 6th, we're going to be at Baker Creek for the Spring Planting Festival. It's supposed to be thousands of people there, and it really looks like a neat event, and we're super excited and look forward to being there. So make sure you stay tuned to those videos, and if you can, come out and celebrate and be at the Spring Planting Festival with us, and you can meet us there. Also, please feel free to share this video and others with your friends on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, email, text, whatever. And that little subscribe button right somewhere right in here, if you haven't clicked it already, and to subscribe, please click it. It's like it's yelling out to you. Click me, click me, click me. And that notification bell, you can click that too. Well, that's it for today. We'll see you next time. Grow on.